Oh, and welcome to my channel. Well, I mean, I know a lot of people are probably going to get tired of hearing this, but I work through issues by talking about it, and I've been talking to myself a lot lately in here about the situation with the scooter, and I wanted to see how does it relate to the knife community. I mean, how can you relate that? And here's a very easy one that you can link it up to. I believe Zach Stuff started it, but it's the hashtag DSF. Do something kind for someone. See, kindness is in it's a slogan basically, and like slogans and truisms and stuff. There's one that like here's another one related to the knife community. A big knife can do anything a small knife can do, but a small knife can't do anything that a big knife can do, or everything that a big knife can do. That's not 100% true. The the reality is there's always exceptions to things. And if you take a truism as always being true, do something kind for someone. See, it doesn't say do something kind for everyone. There's no E on the end of it. It's for someone. And that, my friends, is where you have to be selective. You have to be selective on who you're being kind to, unfortunately. Because it's a reality in this modern world, and it's probably been a reality this way for a couple of decades, and I hadn't noticed it. But if you do something kind for strangers, more often than not, you're going to be taken advantage of, and you are basically going to enable these people to continue to do what they do. As long as I let this guy ride around and do stuff that bugged me, I was enabling him to piss me off, and it was getting me mad because I thought him or his mom should have the common decency. But again, that's there you go, assuming again, these values are gone nowadays. And if you find it in anybody, you should cherish it. That's what I'm gonna say. Not worship it, or anything else like that, but just realize the rarity of what you're running into in people nowadays when somebody does something kind for somebody with no ulterior motive behind it. There's no hidden agenda. I was definitely not going to profit from this situation. I was losing uh, money that I could potentially get from other people just because my perception of what was going on was I was helping the mom. The mom is older, you know. My compassion came out for the mom because I thought, this whole situation happened because Clown Boy started it. As soon as he saw me with the mountain bike, he wanted it, and I told him, this is going to be my transportation. And then that's when he found out about the Jeep, and he wanted that too. And then he found out about the scooter, and he wanted that. He said for his mom. And again, this is another assumption I made. Whenever my father borrowed tools from someone else, let's say a saw or something like that, when he returned it to the person he borrowed it from, that saw was sharp. It was clean. It was oiled. It was in better condition than he received it. When he loaned out things like his wheelbarrow, I remember this. He loaned out his wheelbarrow to a neighbor who was building something. It took him years to get it back, and when he did get it back, it was trashed, you know? And so he never loaned tools to that guy again. I mean, so you'll get away, if you're one of these type of people, you'll get away with doing something bad once or twice from somebody. I mean, you can only use people for so long until afterwards, here comes adult language. When Clown Boy rolled up on my scooter and I was cleaning out my Jeep, and he said, "What are you doing in my Jeep?" If you're in prison, I haven't been in prison, I've been in jail before, but I've never been in prison. That's like letting somebody steal your fruit cup every day, you know? And then the next day he comes along and he wants to take something else of yours. And if you let him, guess what? You're his bitch. That's what it's called. You're his bitch. You know what? I mean, no offense to the females in our society, but I'm nobody's bitch, all right? You don't play me that way. You don't come up to me. I mean, I was triggered when he came up, rolled up like that. I mean, that's why I was short with my response, because when I reach a point of anger like that, my only choice is to handle it one of two ways. It's fight or flight. And I'm ready to fight, but I know I shouldn't. So I have to walk away. I'm not running away. I have to walk away from the situation. That saved my butt more times than once. Because in real fights, in real life, nobody wins. You know, you're going to lose one way or another if you think you won that fight. If I start fighting with this guy, he's bigger than me. I'm older. I'm not going to do fist fights and stuff, man. I'm telling you, if somebody attacks me, it's going to cost them. And I don't want to be put in that situation. So that's what keeps us civilized, man. I'm not afraid of any human being but myself. I'm afraid of what I can do, what I'm capable of when I'm pissed. And I want to keep that monster in check, because if you let it go, man, anything could happen. I mean, you don't want to make people snap, and that's because they're holding on to reality as much as they can. But if you push anybody far enough, sooner or later, I don't care how calm they are, Zen Buddhist or whatever, sooner or later, man, you're gonna elicit a response from them that maybe you weren't expecting, but you should have been expecting. You know, it's like going up to a tiger's cage or a monkey's cage, or, you know, a bear, and you just poke it with a stick all the time, and the bear goes, "Arr!" And he tries to get you, but he can't, and you laugh, I'm out of reach. And then one of the days you get too careless, and you get a little too close. And then what happens? Well, then they put the animal down because it was too dangerous. It attacked a human. Why? Why did it do it, you know? It's not psychotic. It did it because it wanted to stop what was happening to it all the time. So, my only caveat for do something kind for someone is be very selective on who you're being kind to, and just know that that is a slogan. If you want to live your life by that, that's fine. I agree with it. You know, like I said, I first saw it on, I believe, Zach Stuffs and Big Red's EDC, and they practice what they preach. You know, they sit there and they do stuff, and they practice what they preach. And I thought, that's pretty good. I'm going to try to start doing stuff for people out of kindness. You know, not for any reward in an afterlife or anything like that. But for now, the reward for me is people's happiness. That's why I like comedy. If I can get somebody to laugh just for a moment, I've given them happiness. I've let them find a side of their life that maybe they haven't seen in a long time. There's a lot of things that can make us miserable. There's very few things that make us happy. And a lot of times those things that make you happy cost something. You have to go pay to see a comedian. You have to pay to get your chemical of choice that alters, you know, your reality. You know, be it alcohol or whatever. You know, you have to pay for your pleasure, however it comes through, and it shouldn't be that way. You know, when I was a kid, I was able to find joy in the simplest things in life because we didn't have internet. I'm not saying I was a poor child and all I could play with is sticks, you know. I mean, my father was in the service. They take care of people. He bought us toys from time to time. I mean, I know other kids had life harder than I did. I'm not trying to come across as I had a super rough life. But I had fun by myself, and that's why a lot of times, in reality, I'm antisocial, not because I don't like people. It's because I don't like the way people behave. I don't like the way people behave nowadays and act. You know, I've only got like one or two people that I can call true friends. And it's that way because there are very few people that are really what I would call true friends anymore. There are a lot of people out there that act like they're your friends, or they act friendly, but when it comes down to a situation when you would really need their help, and I'm not talking about monetary or anything else a lot of times, sometimes it's just psychological help. You need to talk to somebody and say, I know I'm crazy, but am I extra crazy now? Am I, beyond what's reasonable? Am I acting unreasonably, in this situation? And you get a little validation that no, you're not the jerk in this situation. The other person is. And it shouldn't be that way. And what I'm trying to prevent out of all of this is I'm trying to prevent myself from never doing something kind for someone again. Never doing it again. I mean, that's one way to prevent being hurt. If you've ever been in love and you've lost, hey, one way of never losing again is never fall in love again. It's kind of drastic if you think about it, And really, with emotions, you don't have that kind of control. I mean, you'll find that out sooner or later. But you don't have. If you say I'm never going to be attracted to anyone again, and you find somebody that you click with, man, it can happen pretty quick. That again, that's another reason why I don't socialize. Is because I'm not looking for anyone. I don't need anyone else. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I just want to go about my life and try to be a decent human being. Not for any reward in any promised afterlife or anything, but for reward now. For me now to see that I helped someone out and it made me feel good, that it made them feel good. That's my reward. It is selfishness in a way because I love that feeling, man. It's great. It's something I wish I could do a lot more of. But again, if you do kind stuff enough and you are not selective on who you're being kind to, you will be taken advantage of. And if you don't like that feeling, then you've got to prepare for that. I mean, that's all I'm saying. This is my only zinger out of this whole thing is please keep doing that. If you run into a jerk, don't let it stop you. You may need more than one blade to cut problems out of your life. I saw these scissors. I was like, this is cool. This was something that my mom had. It's probably for sewing and all this other stuff. And of course, it was made in China. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, if they only had one more, it could have been 6-bladed scissors. Cut anything you want. But yeah, so I am gonna try to get. I'm going to try to get some comedy. I'm going to try to force it out of myself and do some kind of comedy thing because that's the way I counterbalance bad situations a lot of times in my life. I have to get back to laughing and enjoyment and get rid of bitterness and all that other stuff. These emotions are there for a reason. I mean, it's to help keep us from being used. But really, a lot of things are up to us in life. How we react to things, who are our friends, it's up to us. You have a say in things. And with me, when I gave him that scooter, I didn't have to do that. And now that I've changed that situation, again, I got myself into this because I did something kind for someone. All right, so I'm just saying, I don't want that to limit you in ever doing something kind for someone. But I can understand why if you never do that. If your motto is, hey, you know what? The hell with everybody else. I can understand where that reasoning's coming from. But just remember, they're taking away part of your humanity when they do that. I mean, part of what makes us human. Part of what separates us from AI and everything else, AI can only mimic love. AI can only mimic compassion. They can only say those words, but they don't know what it means. It's just a program to them. it's going to be a long time before we have to really worry about uh, robots running around and acting exactly like humans and us being fooled by it, because uh, that's a long ways off, I think. But the emotion that a robot has and stuff is available for people. I mean, you can shut down compassion and stuff, and I'm just saying you don't have to. You just have to be more selective. So there you go. I don't want to run this one into the dirt, and I want to get back into other content. And I'll just give you brief updates from now on about anything that changes with the situation. But as for right now, that scooter is a steering wheel lock in my Jeep. You know, neither one of those items are going to go anywhere anytime soon, uh, unless there's money involved. And I have to be that way because I don't have that much money. Man, I am not rich. I'm not a rich YouTuber. I'm a old guy on Social Security trying to get by in life, and it's not easy. So there you go. Thank you for listening to my rant, and I'll try to get back to normal. But it's affecting me physically. I couldn't sleep last night. I keep going over the situation in my head, and I keep talking out loud, like he's right in front of me. And that's not good, I mean, this has physically cost me, and it will physically cost me being kind to someone. Not just monetarily, physically. It affects my health. So don't be like me. Don't fall for, the con. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.